Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to NC Patrons video, where today, for Huang Zhudong, as part of their custom monthly music review, I'm going to be reviewing a track from Dou Wei, which has two different meanings if I understand it correctly. If we switch over to here with the track on the screen, this name can either mean wine or poisonous snake. So we're going to listen through this track from start to finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Okay. So we're gonna sell some buzzy sounds going on with some shakers. I dig it. I vibe with that, man. It's an unusual texture with this sort of ambivalent sort of harp and sort of steel string kind of harmony on the extreme left and right of the stereo field. And some really sort of unusual sort of filtered modulated laugh parts. And that organ in the center is kind of brutal, isn't it? Don't know if I like the buzzing sound, but that bass synth is absolutely dope though. The vocal style kind of reminds me of the Gorillas a little bit, you know what I mean? A little bit of vinyl scratch there, along that Moogus lead synth. It bounces though. It's nice and energetic and kind of a little more friendly than what we had initially, from a melodic or harmonic perspective. It's nice to have that woodwind kind of substitute for a vocal line here, alongside the really active bass line. It's fresh, man. Kind of hip-hop-ish, sort of kind of industrial drums from the late 90s, early 2000s. Fit right at home here, man. That's just a specifically set up synthesizer, isn't it? The energy with the hi-hats is kind of engaging to listen to though, you know. They buzz around from side to side. Freeform? Not necessarily through composed. Very elegant though. The little wah guitars around in the background there. So many different additional layers within this. So many different layers within this arrangement. Lots of interesting, unusual textures. What has Huang Zhudong got for us today, man? I listened to a fair bit of Dou Wei. I'm always keen to listen to more, you know? It's a vibe, it's an atmosphere, it's an ambience. I like how active that kick drum is as well, but it's so subtle at the same time. It just melds in so flawlessly and effortlessly with everything else. I'm wondering if that's a sampled or actually performed instrument there. I mean, like, it was the early 2000s, so they might have done a bit of sampling, but I'm just not sure. It's difficult to tell. The attack on it is kind of unusual. But we have the lyrics here for the song Wine or Poisonous Snake, depending on how you interpret it, because there are apparently two meanings. Thanks to Huang Zhidong again for the lyrics. We have so many bamboo leaves green. No, the doorman's shoes are wet. Invite tradesmen to repair my house? Okay. I am a little bit unsure of what's going on here with the la 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 part. Are the bamboo leaves green supposed to refer to something with the wine or the poisonous snake? Let go of the guard of my eyes, accompany strange class is better than no day at all. Fill it with the fun of struggle. Take a sip of the rush intoxication in my stomach, then I fall asleep. No, okay, so what do I reckon? What do I reckon this track is about? Cheers, cheers. I think this is about a party vibe, but they're drinking to cope. Fill it with the fun of struggle. So we're trying to struggle as much as we can and then fall asleep at the end of the day. It is about the futility of our existence. Better than no day at all. So is struggling better than nothing? Is that it? Because this is the conclusion of my review of this track by Dou Wei titled Wine or Poisonous Snake. What do I think it's about? I think it's about people drinking to cope with the struggles that they go through, the difficulties outside, knowing that if they struggle, it's better than having nothing at all, the futility of our existence. It's not a particularly happy song at all. It's not a particularly sort of fun one, not particularly upbeat. It's kind of just like about life within itself and how, you know, we do our best to cope with everything and to kind of get our way through it. But at the same time, it's just, you know, it's what it is, you know, like, it's not smoke and mirrors. That, you know, you drink to cope, you drink to get away from it, I think. I might be misinterpreting that, I might be taking it too literally, I'm not sure, but that's my impression of what it's about. The singing that comes from it, the la la la, the kind of the filtered vocals that are in the background, kind of a chant kind of thing, are almost like you're thinking about these different things. These are thoughts in your head as you go through the day, as if you're in someone's head. That's the kind of impression I get of the way that he sang within this track. I think that that's very telling and very poetic and artistic. I think it's well handled. There isn't like a huge amount of emphasis on a set sort of melody or a way of kind of like harmonizing with what's going on around it. It could almost be argued that you're kind of like in a drunken stupor, kind of wording stuff out as you sort of sleep your way through the day. And I think that's a really cool way of approaching this. I think there's a million and one ways you could sort of do a track like this where it's too sort of on the nose, but I think Dou Wei managed to find a good sort of angle for this. I think that having like a sense of minimalism with the way that you approach the vocals, having like a shorter story that allows you to more sort of appreciate the atmosphere is exactly that. It's more about the sounds and the textures and like the buzzy sort of synth parts, the different harp parts, the way the drums just kind of go with that industrial kind of hip-hop-ish kind of groove. There is almost sort of like doing some slam or beat poetry on top of the bass. And that kind of boom, that hypnotizing, mesmerizing loop there where he had going through different parts there with the kind of the ambiguity of the intro melody, which was not necessarily one to commit to a major, with a more gentle element later on where maybe we did start drinking and things got easier for us and things became a bit more positive there, you know, almost like we're trying to quell the fear or doubt that we have by distracting ourselves from it. So I think that was a fun angle for them to explore here, even if it's not much fun to think about. I think that there's a clear understanding of like music theory and composition here. We understand our scales and key signatures. We understand how to get different textures. Like again, the sound of the drums with a bit of filtering on them. That 16th note groove there with sort of like really sort of iconic sound to like the hi-hats, kicks and snares and all that stuff. Going with the harps as well, there's some interesting sort of timbres that don't necessarily always go together, but we managed to fuse them together for a unique experience within this track, which I really appreciate. I think that at 4 minutes 16, the song was long enough that it allowed us to appreciate the motifs in various sections of it, whilst also just, you know, kind of getting lost in it. You know, like it allowed us to be enveloped by it. I think that if it had been any shorter than this, you might have fallen out of the trance if there had been more words to this, you would have fallen out of it. It was meant to sort of like suck us in, especially with the buzzing in the middle there. That was kind of an uncomfortable texture there, as if it's like a headache or a migraine that goes away the more you drink. There's a lot of symbolism here. I think this is a really intelligently written song, and I think that this is probably one of the better Dou Wei songs I've heard, which is unusual because, again, there are textures I don't like. I found made me feel uncomfortable, like the buzziness, like the tattoo machine or whatever it was in the center of the stereo field. I didn't like it, but music doesn't necessarily need to be pleasant to listen to be likable or respectable. Sometimes the hardest music to listen to is the best because it challenges you to open your eyes and your eardrums up to some new things. And I think it's great to be pushed in like that, to be pushed a little bit. I think people need to be able to expand their horizons and be brave about hearing new things. I think the production, recording and mixing and mastering was spectacular. I have absolutely no complaints whatsoever about how things were done here. The vocals, again with the filtering, kind of made it seem like sort of like a faraway kind of afterthought here, which was kind of dope because, again, with the focal point of this track being, again, the buzzy parts for a lot of it, it's actually very unusual for that, from a compositional arrangement perspective, to be that there. It was like we were in someone else's head with the thoughts far away telling a tale. The drums were nicely filled and sidechained to the bass, which was nice and active, and there's a bit of exploration there of the fretboard, or of the, I don't know whether it was like an actual bass or like a synthesizer or something like that. I think that the harps, the way they were sort of panned to the extreme left and right of the stereo field was a smart move. I think that everything else going on here, from like those other sort of synth moogish kind of lead parts that we had occasionally, yeah, in the center field, kind of dancing around the place with the more gentle harmony, sort of arpeggios or broken chord parts here later on. They were nicely EQ'd and filtered and had a great presence in the frequency spectrum. There weren't any weird resonances in the stereo field that weren't unexpected. I mean, there was like a sub-bass resonance to the bzzz, but aside from that, like it's absolutely fine. It was nice and wide in the stereo field. The leveling of the track was great. Again, I think the vocals were meant to be a little bit quieter than the rest of the stuff, and that's absolutely fine for that eerie kind of cloudy feel. And limiting compression was nice and loud without pumping, and effectively that's my review of this track of Dou Wei, titled Wine or Poisonous Snake. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do check out Dou Wei's various social medias and Spotify page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either hell more than there with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next SP Patrons video. Spiderhands out.